Good evening, everyone. I hope the audio and video are clear to you. You can please confirm in the chat if the audio and video are clear so that I can start with today's session. Please give me a confirmation. The audio and video clear? Yes or no? You can respond to my questions in the chat. Thanks for the confirmation, Gayatri. So let us start with today's session. This will be around 45 minutes to 1 hour long lecture or seminar, you can say, in which we'll be discussing about these two examinations, NATA and JE paper 2. So this particular session, the content of this particular session would include, we'll start with basic points like how to move towards architecture after your plus 2. So I hope most of you are either in your 11th or 12th standard. So what is architecture as a career? That's first thing which we'll be looking into in brief, however. And secondly, we'll be looking into the scope after B.Arch. If you uh, is the audio clear enough to everyone? Can you please confirm? Because there's someone who says the audio is low. Is the volume fine? Right, I think it is fine. So Chetra, I hope you can check if you can increase the volume on your device, right? I think it is fine. I would suggest you can increase your device volume to the full because most of the students I think are fine with the volume level. Anyways, if there's any issue in the audio, you can let me know. So this particular seminar will cover the points of what is architecture, scope after your bachelor's in architecture. That's the second area we'll be briefly discussing about. And then we'll be discussing what is planning and what is B plan. How is it different from architecture as a career? What is the scope after B plan? So we'll also look into the aspect of B plan because in JE paper 2, there is also a separate exam for planning. So if you are planning for B plan, what is different? So we'll briefly discuss on that. And then we'll be looking into the entrance examinations for which we are targeting. That is NATA and JE paper 2. Both are for B.Arch. NATA is specifically only for B.Arch. JE paper 2 is for both B.Arch and B plan. So we'll briefly discuss on that. And then we'll come to the important part, that is how to prepare for the examinations. That is NATA and JE. So what should be your understanding? No, for any competitive exam, be it NATA, JE, or even any other competitive exam, first thing is to get to know the details of it. So this session will give you a clear-cut idea on the details of these examinations. What is the syllabus? What is the pattern of the paper? What should be the marks you should be targeting for good colleges? So we'll discuss all those details and we'll also briefly discuss on the tips which you have to remember in the course of the preparation for these examinations. And finally, at the end of the session, we will also look into the list of colleges for architecture and B plan, that is B.Arch and B plan, the best colleges in the country. Will look into a list of that. So that's the content for today's session. Let me start with the first point, that is what is architecture. I hope everyone knows who are in this session, because when you join the session, you already are inclined towards architecture, most probably, right? So architecture is not only about designing buildings. Many people say architecture is about designing buildings. No, it's not only about buildings. It can range from a small space like your room. So that is known as interior design or interior architecture. So that is designing small rooms. You can also design gardens. That's called as landscape architecture. You can design your complete house. That is not only the elevation of it, the layout of the spaces and all. Designing of neighborhoods, urban designers do that. And you can also design a complete city. That is basically urban designers, the work of urban designers. So an architect's work can range from a small confined space like a room, what color the interior finishes should be, to the scale of the city. You can also, so you have urban design as a career option after architecture. So that is basically focusing on design of cities, where the gardens would be located, what should be the layout of the boulevards, what should be the entry points into the city. What should be the skyline of the city? Even that architects do. So architects design, architecture is basically about design. And design can range anywhere from a small space that is an interior room to a large scale city, and also beyond that, obviously. So what exactly do you cover? Now, when you join your bachelor's in architecture, we are first focusing on architecture. We'll also look into B plan in a while. Firstly, about B.Arch. So if you join into the 5-year course, I hope you all are aware, B.Arch is a 5-year course, and this 5-year course is mandatory to get a registration as an architect. So for you to practice as an architect, you should get registered with Council of Architecture. To get registered with Council of Architecture, you have to complete your 5-year PR program. What exactly are you taught? Because you all are in your 11th and 12th standard. Now, before you go to the colleges, you should have a brief idea what exactly is taught in this particular field. So when you go into your architecture colleges, the topics range from highly technical to highly, so you can, it ranges from simple topics like principles of design to highly technical concepts like structures, right? All these are taught in your colleges in your PR program 5 years. Now, I hope you all might wonder why exactly is it a 5-year course? Normal BTech is a 4-year course. Why is BArch a 5-year course? That is basically because of the level of concept, the level of complexities involved. There's a lot of very. Not, I'll not say that it is technically difficult to learn something in architecture, no, but it requires a lot of work in various areas. Now, compared to architecture, the other specializations probably could be narrowed down, but architecture, as you already saw, can range from design of a space to a complete city. So there are a lot of things, varied areas to be covered. That's point number one. Point number two, in all the 5-year VR program, it is mandatory for you to do the internship. The internship changes from college to college. Few colleges, it would be a 6-month internship mandatory. In few colleges, it would be a mandatory 1-year internship. What is internship? It is basically where you go and work in architecture firms. So in your course, after your 3 or 4 years, you will go and work in an architectural firm for a period of 6 months to 1 year. So that was also included within these 5-year course. So that's the reason it is a 5-year course. Coming to a brief on the content, what is basically taught. Now, when you prepare for these exams, NATA and JE, you already will have a strong foundation for the concepts which are covered in architecture colleges. Now, when you prepare for the NATA exam and also JE paper 2 exam, you will learn what is building construction, what are various building materials, what are famous buildings, right? To cover all these things, these are basically the foundation for what you learn in your colleges. So the topics would include in your college, I'm telling you about the topics which are covered in the colleges in the BArch. It would include design principles. Design principles basically explains you points to be remembered while designing something, how to make something beautiful, how to get something of aesthetically superior quality. So those are design principles. And then you also study about understanding spaces. Now, what is understanding space? Now, if for example, I want to design a furniture, it should be suitable for the person to sit in it, and it should be comfortable for the person, usability from usability point of view. So there are standards for spaces. What should be the height at which someone can sit comfortably? What should be the height of a table for someone to comfortably work? What should be, so there's a complete book called as National Building Code on this. So if you're providing a door entrance point, it should be a minimum of 2000 in height. That is 2 meters in height. That's a minimum height of a door. All these standards, understanding space standards when you design, that's something which you learn in your colleges. You also study about history of architecture. You all know what is history. History is basically study of past. Now, history of architecture is basically study of architecture of the past. Understanding how Egyptians constructed pyramids, understanding how Greeks constructed Parthenon, understanding how Romans came up with the construction material concrete. Concrete was for the first time invented in Roman times, 2000 years ago. So how concrete was used by Romans to construct large buildings. So that is basically understanding history of architecture. You study about the material, design principles, design techniques of various eras ranging from Mesopotamian Egyptian times till Renaissance. Michelangelo, I hope everyone knows, famous artist of Renaissance time. So that is also covered under history of architecture. So that's the content which you cover under this. You also study about building materials. There are a lot of building materials taught about brick, concrete, stone, There are even metals which are used, titanium panels and all. So there are a range of materials which are used in construction. So exploring various construction materials, understanding complexity of structures. Or for example, if you as an architect are designing something where there is a large overhang, now, to design this, obviously it is structurally possible, but you need to design cantilever beam for this. So understanding what is cantilever beam, how to design, what should be the span between two columns, or if you're designing something complex like a cantilever beam, what should be the design of it. So it's not just you just provide a design and it gets constructed. You should know the structural backing of it. So understanding the complexity of structures, and most importantly, so this is a brief on the content what you'll cover in your colleges in your bachelor's of architecture. But let me tell you what skills are required. Now, many people, many students come and ask me, so how should I know that is architecture for me or not? Many students who don't want engineering generally end up into architecture. No, that's not something which you should do. You should also check before you get into architecture, is this a suitable field for you? How can you check that? If you're someone who is interested in creativity, that is very creativity and communication skills. If you're interested in if you're good at communication skills. Why communication? Because architects work has to be communicated through drawings to the client. So you should be able to, after your B.Arch, when you engage with your clients, be it at your personal level in your own practice, or be it in a huge company, there are MNCs also. So when you're involved with discussions in client, you should have good communication skills, good reasoning and artistic skills. Artistic skills are also important. Why artistic skills? Because when you design something, you should be able to represent it on a piece of paper. Only then you can work on it, or work on it and its design in a computer, right? So you should have good artistic, creative skills, and communication skills are practically important too in this field. So if you are someone who has such basic skills and you're interested in these areas, then you can be assured that architecture is for you, right? So that's a brief on understanding what is architecture, what is basically taught in the 5 years of architecture, and how should you know that this is a course for you or not? What are the required skills? I would not say you need to learn a lot of sketching before you go into architecture colleges, no, but you need to have a basic understanding on techniques of sketching, techniques of perspective, right? The technical part has to be clear. You need not be very good in painting something. No, that's not required for architects, right? So that's a brief on what is architecture. Now, coming to scope after bachelor's, many people have this doubt. Now, okay, we do a course for 5 years in architecture. What is it? What is it exactly we do after that, right? There are two things. You can obviously pursue, you can get specialized in particular area. You can do your masters, not only in India, but across world. It is now almost becoming a standard. Now, I hope you all are aware, probably a few decades ago, someone who has passed 10 standards would easily get a job, a government job. But later on, the level has increased. Someone who is completing 12th class, they generally get into jobs. But at this point of time, or at least a few 10 or 12, 15 years ago, it was compulsory to complete your bachelor's. Only then you can get into good government jobs or any job for that matter. But now the scenario is changing, not only in India, worldwide too. You should also be an expert in some particular specialization. So you might be required to do your masters too. It's not always now. Don't get misinterpreted. Don't get misunderstanding from the point that I say you need to get a specialization. No, it's not only. It's not always about masters. Specializing something can also be in terms of your work. For example, you're interested in conservation. Conservation basically is a field which focuses on historic buildings, how to protect historic buildings from their dilapidated condition, how to repair them, how to retrofit them. There are levels of conservation, right? So conservation is basically protecting heritage structures. Now, if you're someone who is interested in heritage structures and heritage architecture, now you do your B.Arch, get into a firm which specializes in conservation, or you can do your masters in conservation. That is up to you. But if you don't want to do your masters, you can also get into a firm which works on that and become an expert in that, right? Becoming an expert is nowadays important for any particular field. So within B.Arch, there's not a single point that only interior design. No, that's not something which architects do. There are varied options which you have. You can work in the design of buildings in contemporary architecture, that is modern architecture. You can work with firms to design interesting buildings. Building construction for that matter is evolving day by day. There are a lot of factors, lot of uh, construction techniques which are even being worked on at this point of time. Uh, in European countries, and I'm sure it will not take much time for these techniques to come to India. There are concrete structures cast by robots. So robot 3D printing of concrete structures, that is something which is being worked on. So there are a lot of contemporary evolutions, contemporary innovations which are being brought into the sector. So you can work on such innovations. You can work on conservation. I told you, if you're interested in heritage structures and protection of heritage structures, this in itself also is financially a lot rewarding too. There are a lot of conservation firms uh, like Parliament of India. That was also retrofitted few years ago. The conservation firm worked for that. How to protect heritage structures. That's about conservation. Landscape design, landscape architecture. Landscape architecture focuses on designing large public spaces, mainly gardens. Could also be a garden in a house, but landscape architecture can range anywhere from a small individual garden to a large scale public gardens. If you know, in New York, there is a very large garden, Central Park, right? That's also designed by a landscape architect. In France, André Lenotre, very famous landscape architect, who designed the garden of Palace of Versailles, right? So there are large gardens which are designed by landscape architects. There are contemporary landscape architects too who work on design of gardens. So that is also a field within architecture. Urban planning is a field which you can directly move towards if you're interested in urban planning. That is layout of cities and understanding the services in a city, understanding transportation of cities, understanding the water supply sewage systems of cities. So if you're interested in that sector, you can pursue your B plan, which is only a 4-year course, or you can do your architecture and then switch to B plan. Right? Remember, at this point of time, if you're doing B.Arch, it is very much possible that you do your M-Plan, do your master's in planning and move towards planning if you're interested. But if you do B-Plan, you cannot get a registration of an architect and you will miss out all these specializations. I'm not pushing you towards B.Arch, but if you're not sure, if you're not 100% sure that you're interested in urban planning, I would say B.Arch would be a better option at +2 level, because even after B.Arch, you will still have an option to switch towards urban planning. That will not be a scope, that will not be an option if you do your B plan. Anyways, interior design focuses on design of interior spaces, layouts, interior finishes. I would say most of the commercial work in smaller firms is on the interior design of buildings in any large city of India. Design of services. Services include mechanical lines, electricity lines, plumbing lines, HVAC, air conditioning lines. All these also are specifically designed by architects too. So there are lots of software like Revit and all, where you can work on the services layout specifically if you're interested in that. So these are, so to end this particular point, the summary would be, it is not a narrow field. There are a lot of options which you can move towards. I'm not saying that you should decide this at this point of time. The idea was to just tell you that there are a lot of options. So after your B.Arch, after your 5 years of study, you can select the stream which you're interested in and work towards it. That is very much possible, right? Now, let me tell you briefly about planning. What is urban planning, or what is bachelor's in planning? As I told you, first advantage, if you do a SWOT analysis, if you look into the pros and cons of B.Arch and B-Plan, you can do such analysis before you join your colleges. B-Plan, firstly, the major advantage I would say, you would be saving 1 year of time. It's a 4-year course. It's a 4-year undergraduate program. You can also pursue your master's after that, but the field would be slightly narrowed down as I told you. So the specializations include urban housing, which focuses on designing of housing units. Basically, housing is basically large townships. So urban transportation planning, that basically focuses on designing public transport in cities, roads, what should be the size of the roads, what should be the layout of the roads in a city. That's transportation planning. You have environmental planning, which focuses on designing cities with a concern towards environment in a sustainable manner. You can also pursue your master's in urban planning. So these are various specializations which you can work towards after your B plan. The point again, I already mentioned you, all these you can also join after B.Arch. You can get these specializations after your B.Arch also. Or you can also get these specializations after B plan. If you select the route of B plan, you will save 1 year. But then, if you're not 100% sure that you want urban planning, then you should go for B.Arch. Why? Because the scope would be wider. Including these fields, you can also work towards conservation, landscape, and all those urban design and all points which I've already mentioned. That said, one more advantage of planning would be uh, the work. What type of work? If you're doing a B plan and don't want to do masters after that, after 4 years, if you want to directly join something or work somewhere, what is the scope? So you can also self be self-employed as consultants. You can also work with a lot of planning you can provide planning services in various private companies, and there are a lot of government jobs which are available specifically in planning. There are a lot of government jobs. Each and every municipality in the complete country, each and every municipality has a town planning department. So in that town planning department, you have the post for town planners and assistant town planners. So at this point of time, there is a huge demand for the posts of, or huge scarcity. There's a supply demand gap for these planning level posts. But then these government jobs in planning, in most cases, you can also write the exams. There are separate exams for these government jobs, just like any government job in India. You can also attempt those exams in most cases after your B.Arch too. So as I told you, if you don't want to narrow down towards planning, you can select B.Arch. But if you're 100% sure that I want to be in the sector of planning, then go for B plan. That would save you 1 year. So that's about planning B plan. There are no, architecture is available in a lot of colleges. Comparatively, B plan is available in lesser number of fewer colleges. But then you do have B plan in SPAs and NITs, School of Planning and Architecture. There are 3 in India: New Delhi, Bhopal, and Vijayawada. In all these 3 SPAs, you have B plan and B.Arch both, but the number of seats will be more in architecture. For architecture, I think there are around 80 seats in these SPAs, but for B plan, there are only 30 to 35, I think, number of seats are lesser. And B plan is also available in some NITs as well. Right, so that's a brief introduction as to what is B.Arch, what is B plan, what are the specializations you can move towards, what is the content which is taught in colleges, what is the scope after doing these bachelor degrees, right? So that's a brief introduction. Now coming to the core part of the workshop of this webinar, we will focus on understanding these two examinations, what is NATA and what is JE paper 2, right? So NATA and JE both are generally held twice a year. Generally, both the exams are held twice a year. Now, remember one point: JE paper 2 is not paper 1. JE paper 1 is conducted 4 times a year. But JE paper 2, it is conducted only 2 times a year in February and May session. But this year, due to COVID, the February session is not yet out. So the date is pushed probably. The first session would be conducted in the month of March. The dates are not yet out. So if you're starting your preparation at this point of time for both the exams, I would say if you're preparing for architecture and planning, go for a combined preparation of both the exams. That would increase your chance of getting into good colleges, right, for architecture and planning. So if you're preparing for JE paper 2 this year, or if you're preparing for NATA and JE this year, the first attempt you will be writing will be in the month of March, not February. The date is not yet out, so it will be in the month of March, and tentatively the next one will be in the month of May, depending on the existing scenario of the pandemic. So this JE paper 2 also is held twice a year. Similarly, NATA also is held twice a year, April and June. Generally, why am I saying generally 2 times? Because last year this was in 2021, NATA exam was conducted 3 times. That's also a possibility because many students, because of the pandemic, could not give the exam for the first 2 attempts. So an additional 3rd attempt was also provided in last year. But this year, unless there's a notification, we will assume that there will be only 2 attempts. So if you're preparing, so the schedule for the examination will be the first exam you'll write in the month of March, then you'll have it in the month of April, NATA first attempt. Then in the month of May, you'll be having JE second attempt. And then in the month of June, you'll get NATA second attempt. So you can use your best score in that point. You can write both the attempts. Whichever score is better, you can select that. Now, coming to the pattern of the examination, both the exams, NATA and JE, let us first focus only on NATA. I'll talk about JE after that. NATA exam is a 3 hour long examination. So 3 hour duration examination. And the pattern for this exam, there will be a total of 125 questions. There is no negative marking in the NATA exam. There are a total of 125 questions and the weightage, total weightage will be 200 marks. To get into the best colleges with this exam, you should be targeting for a score of 150 plus and with a good regimented preparation plan. So if you join, when you join into our KP classes, uh, coaching program, even if you're not joining the full-time coaching program, you can just download the app KP classes NATA. The name of the mobile application is KP classes NATA. If you download this KP classes NATA app, this is the logo of it on the Play Store. It is freely available. Download the app, you'll get a lot of free resources also. You can also enroll into the programs on the mobile app itself, and you'll be provided with a lot of resources, including online tests, previous year solved papers, study material, online classes with recorded backup. All these things will be provided to you on the app. So if you're having a regimented plan, make 100% utilization of all the resources. It is very much possible that you get a target score of 150 plus and get into the best colleges. And remember, NATA from the last 2 years is being conducted as a completely online based examination. There is no physical sketching involved. Before 3 years, in NATA exam, there was sketching also on pen and using pencil and paper. You need to sketch, but now there is no physical sketching. There is no sketching involved. When I say no sketching involved, it is not that you will forget about sketching and not study, because the concepts and techniques of sketching are still tested in the exam. What are techniques of, just as an example, there is 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective. These are techniques of sketching, shading, color theory. All these are techniques of sketching and drawing. These techniques of sketching and drawing are still tested, but they are tested in online test format. There are different types of questions in NATA. Coming to the type of questions, I'll talk about it in the next slide. But at this point of time, remember that there is no physical sketching involved in NATA because the pattern has been updated from last 2 years. And that's a brief on the pattern. 3 hour examination, 125 questions, 150 should be a target score. Total score is 200 for this exam. So that's a brief on the exam pattern of NATA exam. Coming to JE, joint entrance examination paper 2. This also will be conducted twice a year in the month of March and May this year. Generally in the month of Feb and May it is. The duration of this exam also is 3 hour long. The total number of questions will be 82, of which you need to answer 77 questions. 82 questions will be given in your question paper. You need to answer only 77 questions. 5 questions you can leave. Because there's a choice in 5 questions in the mathematics part. Right, I'll talk about the details of the exam syllabus in a while. You will get better clarity. Of 82 questions, you should answer 77 questions in 3 hours. And the total weightage is 400 marks for this exam. If you target a score above 250, you can get into NITs for sure using this score, right? So getting your target score to get into NITs and SPS should be above 250 plus. Now, above 250, if you can push your score to almost close to 300, you can be assured of getting into the best colleges like SPI Delhi. Getting a score about 250 plus is in most cases sufficient to get into SPS and NITs in general. This particular exam is different in a manner from NATA because it is not completely computer based. Some part of the exam, so a total of these 77 questions, 75 questions will be computer based with options. So you'll be answering it on a computer. After that, you will be having a sketching test, drawing test, which will include 2 questions. So that is not computer based. You need to use a paper and a pencil to answer that drawing part. If you're attempting planning part, then you will, instead of this drawing, you will have a planning test. Separate planning test with 25 questions will be conducted. If you want to attempt both, that also is an option. You can write JE paper 2 and attempt both drawing test and also planning test. That also can be done. You can apply for both. So if you want, you can only write drawing part and computer part. Or if you want planning, you can only write the computer exam and the planning part. if you want to apply for both B plan and B.Arch in your counseling, you can write all the three parts: computer exam, computer based test, 75 questions, which includes math and architectural awareness. You can do the drawing part and also the planning part. So that's an option which you have in JE paper. So I hope you're not getting confused with this information. So in JE, you will be having computer based test. Majority of the marks is that, and then 100 marks you will have. So this is total of 400. So 300 marks will be computer based test. The remaining 100 marks, you have to attempt this drawing exam on a paper if you want to apply for B.Arch. If you want to apply for planning, this also will be a 100 marks part, but that will be again a computer based exam. Janvi, no. In the planning part, there is no sketching involved. So there is no drawing in if you're applying for B plan, only B plan. But if you do skip this drawing part, then you can apply only for B plan courses. If you want to apply for both, write both the exams, because you can also apply for both. That's also an option. So that's about the paper pattern of NATA and JE paper 2. Coming to the eligibility, candidates for both the exams, NATA and also for JE, you should have been passed 10+2 with physics, chemistry, and math, or you can also have 10+3 diploma, that is after 10th, a 3-year diploma course, but mathematics should be a compulsory subject. Only then you can apply for NATA exam. So minimum passing marks which you need to have for, as a qualification for these examinations, both NATA and JE, is 50% in your +2 or 50% in your +3. So in both the cases, you can apply for these two examinations. Now let us move. So this is a brief on the paper pattern. Let us move further into the detail and get an understanding of the syllabus and the exam pattern, exam type of questions basically. In NATA exam, there is no negative marking, as I already told you. In JE, there will be negative marking. Negative marking is basically where you lose your marks if you write a wrong answer, right? So in NATA examination, there are 1 mark, 2 mark, and 3 mark questions. To be specific on the distribution, I told you in NATA exam, there are a total of 125 questions, the weightage of which will be 200 marks. So these 125 questions, actually, there are I see a few questions. Vedant has a doubt in JE second paper, only computer-based questions. Can you give an example? Vedant, I would suggest you can download. I already told you the app, KP Classes mobile app. Download that. You can you have access to the previous papers over there. You can check the previous papers, what type of questions are asked generally in that, right? In this session, we are focusing only on the brief introduction. I don't have any example questions as such added into this presentation. But then you can download the official syllabus. The syllabus includes general awareness, general polity of India, and also general understanding on the planning principles, right? All these are tested. What are various levels of administration, district boundaries, district details. All these are tested in the planning part of the exam. Hari has a question. Is there no drawing part? No, physical drawing is not involved in NATA. However, we will discuss on that in detail. There is no physical sketching, but you need to know the knowledge. You need to have the knowledge of sketching. I have an example question on that. How is it tested in NATA exam? We will look into that. Vedant, I hope you have the contact number of us. You can make a note of it, this one. I would suggest, if you're not able to find some info, like you are specifically asking about B plan part, if you're not able to find some information about it on the app, you can drop a WhatsApp message on this number. That's a contact number of our office, and we will for sure help you out by providing you the previous papers of it. Right? I hope that will help you. You can make a note: 93544 Drop a message over there. We'll try to help you with the information if you're not able to find it on the mobile app. Anyways, let me tell you about the distribution of the questions in NATA exam. There will be 75 questions for 1 mark each. 75 questions of 1 mark each. So the weightage of it will be 75 marks. And there will be 25 questions of 2 marks each. So the weightage will be 50 marks for this part. And there will be 25 questions for 3 marks each. This is the distribution of the questions as per the official notification on the NATA website of last year, obviously. So we will, in most cases, not expect a sudden change in the pattern, because the pattern was changed last year itself. So, however, the actual brochure of this year's NATA 2022 is yet to be out. But following the previous pattern, this is what it is. 75, 25, 25 distribution. So 25 into 3, this is also 75 marks. So the weightage of it total would be 200 marks, as I already told you. That's the distribution of the marks. Now, if you observe carefully, what should be a target area? Two things in NATA exam: maximize your score, and to get your target score of 150 plus, you should get as much as possible in these 75 marks and these 75 marks. These are high value questions, 3-mark questions. So you have to do very well in the 3-mark questions. 3-mark questions in NATA are all about understanding the basic concepts, having strong technical knowledge on the aspects of architecture and the syllabus involved. That is important. So you have to score well in the 3 marks part. You have to do well in the English part also, because in NATA exam, how is NATA exam different from JEE? NATA, you also have English. There is no English involved in JEE exam, but English is also asked in English is the part which is tested in the NATA exam. There are a lot of questions on the English comprehension part. You have to do well in that to get good score in the examination. So that's about the distribution of the marks. Now, types of questions. In NATA exam, you have multiple choice questions. Multiple choice question is where you have 4 options, A, B, C, D. One option will be correct. You have to select that. You have multiple select questions. Multiple select questions are where you have 10 options, of which probably 4 will be correct. So you have to select the 4 correct options of the 8 or 10 options given. Multiple select. There will be multiple correct options. You have to select all the correct options. You have preferential choice questions. Preferential choice questions is there will be 4 or 5 options. Say for example, there are 4 options A, B, C, D. Option option A is 10, option B is 20, this is 30, and this is 40. So each option will have different marks. If you select 40, say for example, the answer for a question is 30. So if you select 30 as an answer, you will get your full marks of 3 marks. If you select 20, you will be given 2 marks. If you select 10, you'll get 1 mark. If you select 40, there will be no marks given. So preferential choice. Depending on the option, you will be allotted marks in a partial manner also. So such questions are also asked in the NATA exam. And finally, you also have numerical answer questions where you don't have any options. You'll be given a box. You need to type your answer. So answer will be a numbers 5, 6, or 20, 100, something like that. You need to type your numerical answer into the paper. So onto the computer. So these are the 3-4 types of questions in NATA exam. Coming to JEE, there are only 3 types of questions: multiple choice questions, numerical answer type questions, and drawing part. If you're attempting planning part, you will have multiple choice questions in that also. No drawing in the planning part. The marks distribution for JEE exam: mathematics, it is 25 questions into 400 marks. So this is where you'll have choice actually. In the mathematics part, 30 questions will be given. Of those 30 questions will be given. You need to answer only 25 questions. 5 questions you can leave. 5 numerical answer questions. At the end, you will have an option to leave. So 100 marks is the weightage for mathematics. Aptitude is the most important scoring area. Aptitude includes the concepts of architecture like visualization of 3D objects, understanding mirror images, water images, understanding pattern sequences, identifying missing objects or missing figures. All these are the concepts included in the aptitude part in JEE exam. So you'll get a detailed understanding on the syllabus. You can download the syllabus available on the KP Classes app also, the official updated syllabus, or you can also get enrolled into any of our classes and we will share you with the pattern which we follow. We'll follow a module structure. We'll complete 100% of the syllabus involved for both the exams. So we have a updated module pattern which will cover all the required concepts for these examinations. So you can get a detail on that later on from the mobile app itself. So drawing part also is included in JEE exam. There will be 2 questions in the drawing part. There can be memory based sketching. Like you get a question last year paper. There was a question like sketch your favorite freedom fighter. From your memory, you need to sketch something. You also have drawing based questions for creating compositions. Create an interesting pattern for a child's bedroom, right? Such pattern based questions. You also have questions based on situation. You're standing on the top of a building and there are children playing at the bottom. Sketch what you see. Sketching a scene. So sketching a scene, sketching from your memory, and composition based questions. All these are the types of drawing, and in the classes we will cover all the technical concepts required with sufficient practice to answer all these three types: memory based sketching, situation based sketching, and also composition based questions. Will there be any question from physics and chemistry in NATA? MZ Khan, in NATA exam, yeah, you do have physics also. Last year there are only 5 questions of physics, so it's not something which is major, but yeah, physics is asked. Chemistry, it is written in the syllabus, but no questions have been asked in NATA 2021. So physics and chemistry, even if you get some questions, it will not be more than 5 to 10 questions, right? So but yeah, it is possible that you get physics, because in the official notification it is mentioned that physics and chemistry can also be asked in the paper. It's not well defined though. In JE there is no physics and chemistry. No physics, no chemistry, only mathematics, architectural aptitude, and drawing. That's it. No physics and no chemistry in JE exam, be it for planning or architecture. Both the things, there is no physics and chemistry involved. So that's a brief on the syllabus. Physics is tested. Very few physics questions are asked in NATA exam, not in JE. Aptitude and reasoning is for both the exams, NATA and JE. Architectural awareness, which talks about history of architecture, building construction, building materials, parts of a building. All these are covered in both the exams. All these are tested in both the NATA and JE exams. Design and visualization of objects, and drawing and composition as well. Which book you need to buy for the preparation? Vedanti, I would suggest you download the app, KP Classes app, and you can get enrolled into a course. That would be the best thing. It is almost, it's not, you can find out the details by getting in touch with our office number, but you will be provided with all the required study material for all the subjects. Each module will have its own study material. Everything will be provided to you. So I think the best course of action for your preparation would be to get enrolled into our courses. Right? However, I'll talk about the details, what we provide as a service, we'll let you know. But this particular point, before I move towards how to prepare for the exam, I thought it would be interesting for you to know what type of questions are asked in NATA and JE generally. So the scoring part, if you see, in NATA exam, the 3-mark questions are generally of this type, multiple select questions. So they'll give you a picture. Obviously, everyone knows what this building is. This is Taj Mahal. The picture will be given, and there will be multiple options at the bottom. You need to select the correct options from those options. Granite obviously is not something which you see in this building. Is this 1-point perspective? Yes, this is 1 point. So you need to know what is 1-point perspective. So sketching is not asked, but the techniques of concepts of sketching are asked you. So you should know to identify, okay, you should know what is 1-point perspective in this picture. And you should be able to identify, yeah, there is 1-point perspective here. There is symmetry. You need to know what is symmetry. Do you have a hemispherical dome? No, you don't have a hemispherical dome. Rather, you have an onion dome here. So you need to know all these concepts. What is an onion dome? What are minarets? Right? So to answer the question, to simply put it, in NATA exam, to answer such multiple select questions, you should be strong in your basics. You need to know all the concepts involved in the examination in the field of architecture. Chetra, no, there is no such information as such, but till there is an official notification or change in the pattern, we would be assuming, it is wisest to assume that the pattern is same as the last year. It was not because of COVID that NATA became online. Online NATA exam in itself has evolved and has shifted towards online platform to have a authentic way of marking students, because there were lots of problems involved in marking of physical exams. So that's the reason NATA has shifted to online mode. So do not get confused or don't think that NATA will be paper-based this year. Not necessary. It would be online till it is officially mentioned. In most cases, it will be an online test itself. Coming to JE paper 2, you need to sketch something like this. Chatra, as I already mentioned, you need to know the techniques of sketching, like what is 1 point. Because some in last year there was a question, they gave a picture and some missing part was given. You need to answer which is the missing part of that sketch. So to answer such things, you need to know how to draw perspective, how to draw the lines in perspective. But yeah, you need not essentially practice shading and all specifically for NATA exam, but yeah, you need to do that for JE paper 2 for sure, right? almost towards the end of the session, let us discuss how to prepare, what would be the best course of action for your preparation. I would say download our mobile app, KP Classes NATA, which is a free mobile application available on Play Store. Download the mobile application, and over there, you can enroll into various options which you have over there on the app itself. And you would be provided with live online classes once you enroll into the coaching program. You'll be shared with you with a detailed module structure which will follow for the preparation. And you will be having live online classes for all the topics, all the subjects. You'll be having live online classes where the teacher will come live and teach, just like how we are discussing this session right now. And also, if you happen to miss some live session, it will be available as a recorded backup. All the live classes will be available as a recorded backup on the mobile application till the date of the exam. Till now, which date of the exam? There are 4 exams. You will have recorded backup of all the live online classes on your mobile app itself till the last attempt of NATA. Generally, there are 4 exams: not JE first attempt, NATA first attempt, JE second attempt, NATA second attempt. So till NATA second attempt, or if there is a third attempt this year too, like last year, till NATA third attempt, you will have all the live classes available as a recorded backup on your mobile app, all the lectures. So if you happen to miss something, you can go and watch the recorded lecture of that particular class. If you miss out some part of the lecture, you can revise it. If you're not understanding some part of the lecture, you can re-record, you can rewatch from the recording. So that's an option. You have live online classes for 100% of the syllabus of NATA and JE. You also have practice tests for each and every module. For example, if there is history of architecture, history of Indian architecture, that's a subject. When you look into, when you cover the class of that particular lecture, of that particular topic, you can attempt the practice test of that particular subject. So each subject, each topic, you will have a practice test available on the mobile app itself. You can attempt that. You can rewatch your test, look into the questions, look into what your answer is, look into the explanation and what is the correct answer available. You can have a review of your test actually. There are lots of discussion sessions involved in the course of the preparation. Whenever a topic is done, we try to have a discussion session to clear your doubts of that particular topic. And also, most important to understand is, if you join our coaching right now, we will be focusing on the preparation of JE paper 2 first, because you're writing JE paper 2 in the month of March. So if you're joining for a combined batch, I'm saying this, if you're preparing for NATA and JE both and join our classes in that situation, we'll be focusing on that particular exam during that time. And after that, we'll have focus on NATA, and then we'll come back to JE. So before an attempt, we'll make you prepare for that particular exam. 100% of the syllabus will be done, and you will be prepared for all the 4 attempts of the examination. So that's something which we follow as a standard protocol for the preparation for these 4 examinations. Other than this, there are a lot more resources which you get. You also have the study material provided to you for all the subjects. Study material is not only about the topics, not only about the theory. Each and every topic, after each and every topic in the study material, you will find questions. You will find previous solved questions of NATA and JE papers after each and every. So for example, if you're studying the topic of color theory, you will have all the questions of color theory from NATA and JE exam for the last 10 years. Everything will be included. So that will ensure that you understand what type of questions are asked in the examination. So the pattern which you need to follow, the ideal pattern for your preparation would be do the live online class. If you happen to miss something, watch the recorded backup. That's step number 1. Step number 2, go through the study material. Actually, step number 2 is a homework sheet. In most classes, in most lectures, we will be providing you a homework sheet or a practice sheet. So do that. That's second thing. Number 3, you would after the homework sheet, you can go through the study material. Number 4, after doing the study material and the previous questions in it, you can do the practice tests. The test series is available in which you have last 10 years of solved papers also. All those in the test format, you can answer them on the app. And finally, after that, you can also attend the discussion sessions for each and every subject when you have a doubt. Chatra, I think few tests are available for free without any enrollment. But if you want additional tests for your practice other than what are free on the KP Classes app, you need to enroll into our courses for sure, right? But few resources are for sure available in the free format also on the app itself. So that's a brief on the preparation strategy and preparation technique which you need to look into. Chetra, for any further details, not only Chetra, everyone, for further details as to how to enroll into the classes and how to make use of the resources, contact our office 9354420968. Contact us. You can call or WhatsApp on this number, and we'll reach back to you for sure with a detail on the fee structure, various options you have. Everything will be shared. So any further details on the enrollment part into the courses and using of resources, contact our office on this number. You can also visit our website for lot of free resources, kparchitectureclasses.com. Right. Finally, at the end of the session, as I told you, let us briefly go through the colleges, the options which you have. So you have B.Arch and B.Plan, a lot of IITs, NITs, and SPAs. B.Plan is not available in IITs as such, but yeah, architecture is available for sure. Architecture is available in IIT Kharagpur, Roorkee, and Varanasi, that is BHU. SPA Delhi, Bhopal, and Vijayawada. NITs, a lot of NITs have B.Arch. Jaipur, Bhopal, Trichy, Calicut, Hamirpur, Rourkela, Raipur, Patna, all these have B.Arch already. So you can so to get into all these colleges, IITs, NITs, and SPS, to go to exam for this is JEE paper 2, not NATA. Other reputed colleges include JJ College of Architecture, SAT Ahmedabad, Jamia Islamia, Jamia Millia JMI. Also, you require JEE paper 2 for this. Aligarh Muslim University conducts their own aptitude test, architecture aptitude test of their own. Chandigarh College of Architecture. So there are a lot of colleges. You can make a screenshot of it if you want. Or you can also find these details on any of our social media handles. And also, for any further doubts with respect to any technical aspect of NATA and JE, if you're confused about some information and want clarity on it, you can always reach to us and we'll for sure help you out in the field of NATA and JE for sure. Right? So let me look into some questions. I see there are a few questions in the chat. MZ Khan has a doubt. If you want to attempt JE mains and advanced, is it good idea to prepare for NATA, JE advanced paper 2 at the same time? MZ Khan, I think if you prepare for both JE paper 2 and NATA and also mains and advanced, it could be slightly difficult to manage time. But if you are able to manage your time, for sure, yeah, you can do that, because that will widen the options which you have. Because at 12th class level, you should focus on maximizing the number of options you have. But again, that not at the cost of focus. You need to focus on something, target for something, and then prepare for it. That would obviously improve your chances of getting into something. But if you have time and can do multitasking, for sure, why not prepare for everything and select the best option which you have? But then that is something which you need to plan at your personal level. You also have a doubt, advanced bhi clear karna hoga for IITs. Yeah, if you want to get into the IITs, IIT Kharagpur, Roorkee, and Varanasi, you want to get into these IITs into architecture, you have to first clear JE paper 1. JE paper 1, which is basically mains. JE mains paper 1, you have to first clear this. After clearing that, you need to clear JE advance also. And after clearing advance, you will have an architecture aptitude test separately. You need to clear this as well. Then you will get into IITs, into B.Arch. You need to write 3 exams. If you want to get into SPS and NITs, then the admission process is through JE paper 2. If you want to get into B.Arch of IITs, first clear advance, first clear mains, then advance, then architecture aptitude test, and only then you can get into the IITs for B.Arch. That's the process. I hope that clears your doubt, MZ Khan. Seth has a question, how to prepare for maths in NATA examination. Chatra, I would say, firstly, in NATA exam, mathematics is not of that difficult level. However, when you enroll into our classes, we'll be also teaching you the mathematics part, so don't worry about it. We'll cover 100% of the syllabus, including math and everything, right? So download the app. For any further details, reach to us on a contact number, office number, drop a WhatsApp message, and we'll for sure get back to you on it. Right? Thank you for attending this session. For any further doubts also, you can always reach to us and we'll help you out. Thank you, everyone.